No, it's just an artistic design.
Yeah.
So yeah, we can see many things from
God,
it.
it provokes so much thought.
I'm in like one of those things where you get a T-shirt just mailed to you, and it's always just a different artist every month, and they put a design on
That
it.
sounds like my kind of T-shirt.
Absolutely not.
I love
You said they went
t-shirts.
out of business?
No, they're called woven.
Woven. I love T-shirts.
With an H in there.
Like
Don't help her spell it.
WHOVEN or WOHV.
I'm gonna hook you up, Danielle.
No, don't do this.
I have a lot of T-shirts. I have a
Please.
WOHVEN. Woven. Yeah.
Hi, our friends at Woven. It's Aaron, a local podcast host. Please, if my wife tries to subscribe to your services, turn it away, okay? I'm begging you. We will put the full force of Village Caregiving's media team behind putting you out of business if you let my wife sign up for your services. Thank you.
Why don't you want T-shirts?
She collects so many T-shirts, Jeff.
Oh.
I'm talking arms and armloads of T-shirts. And there are many T-shirts I never see her wear.
That's right.
There's a lot, but I wear them.
So you got nothing against woven in particular. I want to get that on the record.
No, this isn't a Woven thing. I don't want to get into a fight with Woven, who would keep sending my wife T-shirts
But
every
look,
month.
that's like a good.
That's a
I
cool
can't
shirt.
even think of the word. Communication, like a conversation starter, is hey, what's on your shirt, and then everyone.
Would you be willing to throw away 50% of your T-shirts currently in exchange for a woven subscription?
I guess I would want to see what the T-shirt looked like that came first.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
It's hard for me to get rid of things.
We have a rule in our house, all right?
It doesn't work.
There's a
though.
cup rule, all right? For every cup that comes in the house, a cup has to go out of the house, okay?
That does not always
It's a
happen.
cup exchange process.
It's a good rule.
It is. It's a good rule. Only because we're limited by the amount of cabinet space that we have. I'm trying to implement this on the T-shirt side because we recently did some travel. We went to Kingston Mines, a favorite stop of ours along the Chicago tour. We walk in. Some of the best performing jazz artists in all of Chicago are on stage. Where does Danielle head directly to when we walk through the door?
I get a new shirt. I've
Directly to
got a
the
shirt
T-shirt
every time.
shop.
I have 3 Kingston Mine shirts.
We go to a brewery, some of the finest brewed alcohol in the whole city of Chicago.
I got a T-shirt.
Where does Danielle go?
Is that your first instinct every place?
I want a T-shirt everywhere I go. I did
so
get
that
the
you-
guys a big, nice koozie with it. So I even got the guys something at the table.
Oh, she's generous. Don't get me wrong.
But that's because you want to like remember the memory,
Yes.
the place, right? Yeah.
It's a place I enjoy, so I want to get a T-shirt.
Time out. She has pictures of Kingston Mine on the wall of her office. This is not a memory thing. This is an obsession with the fabric of a T-shirt. Where is my marriage counselor?
I don't know. Either way,
They're off
woven.
today.
I love you, woven. But that's what I say. You know, I talk about this all the time. When I travel, my bag shrinks because I just throw out old T-shirts on the way, whereas a lot of people bring their best clothes to look their best. And my approach is I don't know any of these people anyway, so I'm just going to wear anything and I'll just toss it. Well, that's why it's helpful to have somebody mail you T-shirts all the time. Stands to reason.
This is one of the most, I would have to guess on Woven's website under reasons why people use our service, the I travel a lot and just throw my stuff away thing.
But not the woven shirts. Those are
Sometimes
cut.
it's the woven shirt, sometimes it's
I was
not.
trying to help
Depends
you,
how
Jeff.
old they are. Depends. It's about wear and tear.
Knowing that you have a new one on the way, you got one in queue all the time. Does that?
Yes.
Yeah, that makes a difference.
I get a long sleeve and a short sleeve.
2 shirts a month are coming into that house.
See, Jeff probably has a lot of T-shirts too.
Oh,
He
I
throws
got a
stuff-
lot.
See, he does throw stuff away better than me, though. It sounds like because I don't throw clothes away on vacation. I add clothes to my pile on
you
vacation.
got to. You got to toss. In fact, I can give you some tips on that cup rule thing and really anything. Pretend you're not here because what you do is you just, when they're not around, throw all of it away.
Throw it away.
That's what I do. Mm-hmm. They don't even know it's gone.
Yeah.
That's the whole point.
I'm not getting into too much here, but my daughter had some stuff she had to get rid of the other day. And I was like, well, that's not, she was going to give it away. I'm like, that thing is not. So I put it in the trash. I swear to you, they dug that thing back out and I had to throw it away 3 days later.
It was a cute outfit for our niece that you kept throwing away. I said, no, it was a Matilda Jane. It wasn't like it was cheap.
You just
It was a
described her
nice
house.
outfit.
And Rachel is the
And by
worst
the way,
in the.
it was on top of the trash. I didn't dig through. It was literally on top.
they're always like, let's donate it. Let's donate it. Their heart's in the right place. But then I started thinking, I don't think this is about their heart being in the right place. They just can't stand to throw this out for a different psychological reason. And I'm sitting there like, there isn't a human on earth that would want that.
Yeah.
You couldn't pay him to take it. That's garbage. Some things become garbage at some point.
I just don't believe it was ever going to make it there.
You ever been in certain antique shops? I'm not trying to take down the antique industry.
No, we love the antiquers.
Some of the stuff in here, I'm sorry, that is trash.
Yeah.
An old plastic plate that was probably eaten on like 1,700 times from the 1950s. That's garbage now.
What's the word antiquity mean?
Old, I guess.
Yeah, fascinating. I've always thought that's a word right there that you can bring a room to your attention when you use that word. They're like, that guy is maybe Ivy League educated.
This reminded me of the podcast we were just recently listening to. What was the word? It was when you say a lot of P's and B's together.
Yeah, our
Let's see
media
if you
team
all
may
know the
this.
word.
It's when a word has a lot of f or p
Or buh.
when you're breathing
A lot
out.
of spitting.
Do you know what that word's called? P. It's not puffs, but it was something along.
It was
that
a
line.
weird word I've never heard.
Yeah, we were listening to a podcast and they went pretty deep into that. Yeah, they
That
said
was how the
screens
conversation
and all
kept
that.
going,
Yeah.
is why they have this in front of the microphone
Yeah.
now.
I know all about that because I used to be in the biz.
He's in the biz.
What's
Yeah,
the
this-
word, Jeff?
Well, I was talking about the pop filter. I'm not sure what word
Oh,
you're talking
I was
about.
really excited.
We'll get there. We'll figure it out.
It's a percussive.
yeah.
It
pa.
is, yeah.
Yeah, there's a few words where you actually are going out with the word when you think about pa, fa. Yeah.
I don't
Watch
think
it.
fuck
I know.
was one. I think it was p.
Well, you still
buh.
do it. I mean, they didn't have to list every example. Who do we have in studio with us today, Jeff?
We have Danielle Gustin, Chief Nursing Officer, and your wife.
Thank you.
I have a strong feeling that today's not going to go my way on this podcast.
Why?
Well, I've been pretty disparaging of you when your family was on the most recent podcast.
Uh-oh.
I don't plan to hold back, but I'll say this.
Yeah.
We didn't collude about anything this time. Last time, I think we colluded a little.
We colluded a little bit. We did not have any discussion this time.
Okay.
This will be a more natural takedown.
God.
That's even scarier.
The fact that it's not premeditated, I guess, helps somehow.
Yeah, it does, legally.
Yeah. Well, we are coming off of a pretty wild time. The three of us just returned back from the Windy City, the shimmering city along the coast is what they call it.
Yeah.
along the coast.
Yeah,
okay?
Chicago,
Uh-huh.
Chicago, Illinois. We were recently there a couple of weeks ago now, from the fall regional meetings downtown Chicago. This may be a prime opportunity if the film was loaded up from when we decided to shoot an intro to this podcast along Wacker Drive there in you remember the morning of
And
you
how
remember
we
this?
finished it with Sarah chasing a dog, which doesn't surprise many people probably.
Oh, yeah.
Wow, that was a little
I thought
disappointing
you were
with
talking
how
about the
little you
last trip
remember.
for some reason with Wacker. I don't remember. Wait, Wacker's on the other side of the river.
No, we were on that side of the river. Remember we walked over the
Oh, we
river.
did go across. Okay.
I'm a real Chicago guy.
I had a long night.
What was that night about? I remember we had a meeting, and then we went to a great lunch with the team, and then there was a break, and then what did we do?
There was this comedy show. I don't remember if it was that exciting
Oh
though.
yeah, Second
Second.
City.
Second City.
Yeah, there was a group of us that went. There must have been 20 or more of us there.
Oh,
There wasn't that many. There's probably 10 of us.
a dozen at most, yeah.
That was it.
I think
Who all was there?
It
Well,
was.
I was trying to
I'm
remember
trying to
this
think of
the
the
night.
table. It was Aaron, me, and Sarah. Then you, Will, and Adria.
And
And
then-
then we had Levi, Mateo, and Kate,
Okay.
Mancusi, and Chris, and Christy, and Mackenzie. So yeah, we might have had close to 20. We just all weren't
That was
together.
like
That was
12 or
13 right
13.
there. That was 13.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, we were closer.
So we get to Second City, which is by definition, what would you call it?
It's an improv comedy club, do sketches.
Yeah.
Famous place where like
Key and Peele
SNL,
got their start there.
bunch of SNL people start there.
Tina Fey. And I've never personally known anyone that got their professional acting debut there until
probably that night.
that night. Jeff, why don't you walk us through
Exactly what happened.
what happened that night?
Well, I've been wanting to get on that stage for a while. Okay.
He's not making this up. He has verbalized, and I've watched him try many, many times to get called on the stage.
He's not lying. And you've heard me talk about how I'm always trying to get on stage with a hypnotist too to see if that works.
Yep.
Well, we had front row tickets. I'm right next to the step. And, they do some crowd work where they're interacting with the audience, but rarely do you get a chance to get up in there and get into the show.
Yeah.
Well, here it came. There was a person that came out, and here was the sketch, is that he was a dummy, like a ventriloquist dummy.
Right.
Right? But there was nobody to hold him up, and he
Yeah.
fell over in the chair, and he's looking right at me.
You
the
two
way his
have,
head fell.
Yeah.
There was a connection.
And
right
I'm like
then.
laughing. I didn't think, he was just like, come up here. That's what that guy said.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to, I was very eager to come up there.
Oh.
But I didn't want to jump the
would've
gun
guessed.
and have him be like, not you, idiot, the guy behind you,
Yeah.
like something like that. So I kind of made him, I was like, come up. He says, like, we've locked eyes now.
Yeah.
It's too late. And I was like, oh, yes.
Yeah.
Son, I hopped up there like I was shot out of a cannon.
A team of wild horses couldn't have pulled you off of that stage.
No.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it all kind of becomes a blur because I was like getting really into character.
Oh.
But I do remember that whenever, they called me up there. This is what you normally see somebody do when they get called up there, like, okay, and everybody claps.
Yeah.
And then here's the seat that I had open for me, right? And what you see people do is they're kind of like, and they kind of like, right? Kind of nervous. They're playing along. Nah, not this guy.
Not Jeff.
I hopped up there. I saw the seat. It was like this. What we doing?
Yeah.
You're right. I was ready.
Oh, you got prepared. It was like you were ready for it. You sat up, fixed yourself, like you were all set and ready for this.
Now, you might have to tell the rest. I mean, make it flattering a little bit, please.
Oh, yeah, no.
But, because I don't remember very much of it.
Well-
I just remember, no joke, I've told myself, I was like, I'm going to commit to this so freaking hard. And I went so in, all in.
Yeah.
I was so in, I was out.
Yeah.
You blacked out.
Well,
I will say you were so in that the guy looked over at you, was like, huh, you're really getting into this. And like just turned back over like a dummy because he was a ventriloquist dummy, but didn't even blink, just was surprised that you were getting into it that much.
At
It was
one
pretty
point,
funny.
You had said his name, the dummy's name was Charlie.
Yeah.
And you had confirmed that you as well shared a Charlie.
So that's my name, too.
Yeah.
Because internet's mine. I go, then I like, because I was his dummy, I was like,
Yeah.
it's both of ours.
Yeah. And
See
then,
what I was doing there? I was kind of starting to set the tempo a little bit.
yeah, you fully enacted what it would be like for you to insert your hand into
Oh.
said dummy, which was
Oh yeah, you did the whole like moving your hand through, like you moved
Yeah.
your whole body with
yeah,
it.
you took complete possession of said dummy. And then
We're not sure where that hand really went.
Then the
I
dialogue
had it right on
starts.
his back.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
The dialogue starts with Charlie, who was a fantastic actor, by the way.
That guy was great.
He was.
Yeah.
He was
I hope he
awesome.
makes it on like SNL.
I
and
bet
then I
he
can be
does.
like, there's
Yeah.
my co-actor.
That's right. My co-star for the night.
Right.
I was the star here.
Charlie and Charlie in this now scenario are dialoguing back and forth, unscripted, of course. And you two are going through this conversation. And at some point, crowd work becomes part of the equation. Okay?
And that's when I saw my opportunity.
You know, the character of a man can be measured in many ways. But once someone has, say, been a friend of yours for 5 years, let's just use 5 years as an example. You've been friends for, say, 5 years. And you've tried countless times to get said friend to embarrass themselves by singing out loud. Right? And that friend has always refused that opportunity because said friend has maybe a phobia of singing out loud. All right? Maybe said friend's been told by people they're a bad singer and they don't want to share their talentless ability with the world. Well, the character of said human, in this case, let's call him Charlie the ventriloquist, has an opportunity here to choose peace. We have hundreds of strangers in the room that we could maybe target. But no, you decide that you want to pick a friendly face.
I took that ventriloquist dummy right up like this, and we walked around, and he was playing his part, and I was like, this gentleman right here.
Yeah, that's where I
Straight
come
to
into
Aaron.
That's where I come into the story.
He said, "Oh no."
Oh no. Now, again, the ventriloquist gave you some options. You could have me answer a question in 1,000 different ways. He gave no direction on how I should have to respond. But when he asked you, how should I respond to the upcoming question, you said I should deliver it in...
I think I said something like the heart of a song.
That's what it was.
Yeah. So now I've been challenged to sing publicly during your sketch
About a news event.
about a news event. All right. The one thing that I generally know the most about is news, but I'm so torn up in this moment that I'm going to have to sing my answer in front of coworkers and strangers and professional actors.
I'm so proud of myself that I got that opportunity and I didn't let it slip by. I was so, because you can get lost in the moment. Nope. I knew exactly what I had to do.
Yeah. So I said, when asked what's something that you have heard in the news lately, I said that animals aren't safe in Ohio. All right. Which was a trending headline at that time. I had to sing it, which I can't do, out loud. And thank God we move on from that. I sing it out. The guy laughs. A couple people make some noises in the background. I didn't get thrown out. So we're still in good shape. Then you move to sweet, sweet Adria Shills. A person who may actually be an angel fallen from heaven to
That's
earth
true. She is the sweetest
to live
human.
among us. And you go to her. Again, hundreds of strangers to choose from. You stage work next. Poor Adria Shills.
She's looking at you, shaking her
I want
head,
to
and
give
you're
you.
just.
I don't know if you could pick this up, but that really wasn't my first choice. I said to him, like, lady in the white shirt on
Yeah.
the back, and he's just like, no, closer. So I was
Oh,
like,
really?
I swear, that part is true. I had already done my work with him. I was
So
just.
you chose Adria.
Yeah.
Well, then I zeroed in on Adria.
What was the question?
I don't know.
What's
Yours
something? It was like
Something that makes your life exciting. What
Yeah.
makes your life exciting? Because you're trying to figure out how to be human. So yours is what's something in the news. What's something that makes your life exciting?
Yeah. Now, keep in mind, my answer was that animals are not safe in Ohio. Hers was her husband because he brings joy and laughter and peace to my life.
The whole audience is like,
Oh, yeah.
If I could have stormed out, I would have. I'm like, did she have notes for this? Did she know it was coming? I mean, come on.
it was great.
Yeah.
But you did have the opportunity to sing twice in that show. The first
Yeah.
time was not Jeff's doing.
No,
It's like the universe knew that we all needed to hear that voice.
I got randomly selected to sing the national anthem.
But he only had to say the first part, and then the comedian stopped him.
Do you know, I mean, if you would have polled people going in beforehand and it's like, hey, what's the one thing you're cool not doing? I'd be like, I can't sing. Like, don't ask me to sing. Twice in a 2-hour session, I was called upon to sing. And I can't sing. I don't know what the universe doesn't understand about this. But
I thought you did a good job.
okay. So thank you. Except you're definitely in the minority on that decision.
No.
But
Yeah, he was okay.
we continue
Right.
on. The
Wasn't
night
bad.
was amazing. We had so
After
much.
that part, though, the guy turned it around where I had to be the dummy, and we transformed bodies, and he was the ventriloquist, and then he got to control me around, and he kind of got some payback on me. I think
It was.
Yeah.
that was fun, though.
It was
That
a
was
great
really
sketch.
fun.
I just went with the dummy character too, as hard as I could.
So for further proof, because people will listen to this and be like, oh, I bet Jeff played along. I bet Jeff was a good sport. When we say that you embodied the spirit of an actor on this is how far this went. We leave the venue. Had a great time, great show. Everyone cheers. We leave. We step out. There's a public restaurant next door. That's where the bathrooms were. I go into the bathroom. People in the bathroom are talking about Charlie from the show. Okay. Charlie from the show's out front standing there getting a drink. And I'm like, I'm not telling him this. I come out, I whisper to Sarah and Danielle, don't tell him. He's been recognized. Okay. You say that some people would ask you afterwards.
Oh, ask Sarah. I mean, there were people that had to know, was I really in the show or just an audience member? That was the level I committed to.
Yeah. So the
Now,
next day.
So
let me
much
tell you
so.
the best, this is, listen, whenever you get bitten by the acting bug like I have, you can't, there's no looking back really for me from this point on. The next day, we're at Wrigley.
Yes. Across town. A huge city.
Next
Honestly,
day,
couldn't be any further.
Millions
that
of
city.
people between here and there.
I go to the bathroom at Wrigley Field between innings. I'm in the bathroom and 3 British guys walk up to me and they're like, holy shit, you're Charlie. We bleep that out. That's what they said. They were like, you're Charlie. And of course, I'm like at a baseball game. The next day thought they were talking to somebody else. And I was like, what? They're like, you were at Second City last night. You were on stage, yeah? I was like, yeah. They started giving me a 5, but then we were in a bathroom. We were both kind of like, yeah. Like kind of fist elbow bump. How about that? Guys, I got
crazy.
recognized.
Your life is forever different.
Oh, when we came in today downstairs, the paparazzi at the door was
It's
just
too much.
I was like, can we take the back entrance in?
Can you even believe that happened?
It's unbelievable.
The city as big as Chicago. You run into somebody you saw the night before.
Yeah.
They recognize you. That's crazy.
I
It
mean,
is.
the acting bug has bitten.
Yeah. We haven't seen him at work since then. He's been working the local stages. He's starring as Annie coming up. I was like, I don't know how you look with that red wig, but okay. I mean, just really all in on it.
You know, that was at Second City, too. That's like it's maybe the literal premier place that you would do that at on Earth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any chance that any of them ever happened to see this right here?
Oh.
And how surprised they would be that we have a home care agency
Right.
and that I'm a pretty important guy in it. They must have thought I was an absolute lunatic.
Come to find out, you own one of the largest privately owned companies.
Right? They would be like, that dude? You got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
But that's multi-talent.
That's what I would say.
That's what we all say about you.
The thing about it was the people that was with us from like out at the offices maybe was really surprised.
Oh, I bet.
I did not at any moment have a moment of surprise.
No.
I had a moment of, well, he knew this was going to happen. I mean, it was just
He
a
is about
matter
to go
of time.
all in.
Yeah.
But you're right. There were some probably new directors that were like, whoa, never
Yeah.
saw that side of Jeff. But I know, you know
Yeah.
better.
No, it was.
Especially
you.
when they call on you and you look over and you're like huge smile and you're running up on stage like me.
It finally happened.
Thank you both
happening?
for letting me tell that whole story
Oh.
because I'm going to tell you, my ego's never been riding higher in my life. So I needed to get that out.
Yeah, there
Appreciate
was.
it.
We already had this episode booked when that happened, and I had zero doubt what we would be discussing on this episode.
It was going to have to come up.
I was going to try to steer you there.
Yeah, no,
Is that how we got on it? I might have anyway.
I don't remember.
We started on a rant about T-shirts, and off we went.
Well, you were talking about us crossing a river and Sarah chasing a dog.
yeah,
Start
Oh,
with the
that dog.
podcast.
It's all coming back to me now. I
Yeah.
remember that. Yeah, she chases everything in every city. Do you know what she did the night before?
oh gosh,
We were walking to dinner with Austin. We were meeting Austin Stevens.
Yeah.
His little sister Lauren lives in Chicago. Love her. Very excited to get there. Austin and I are walking. All of a sudden, Sarah's gone. We look back. She's like 20 yards back now, trying to pick up a pigeon, a dirty pigeon.
a Chicago pigeon.
Yeah, and there was something maybe wrong with this thing because it was going to let her, which is really if a pigeon will let you do it, it's probably the exact one you
questionable.
don't want to pick up, right?
It's interesting. That's a-
And I was like, oh my God, she's actually going to, has her hands like on this thing. And that's when I was like, Sarah, don't. And she's like, oh, okay, just like a child.
Yeah.
And then we can't make up any of this stuff. There's a ton of like outdoor seating for this restaurants on this street. And whenever I said, don't, and she was like, oh, an audible groan came from this entire section of like, oh. And people were just like, we wanted to see what was going to happen when she picked it up.
We've never seen someone try and pick up a pigeon.
Right.
Only Sarah. I love it.
So yeah, I chasing a dog, of course.
Yeah.
But it
No.
was a rare dog that she hadn't seen since she was a child.
What was it again?
I don't. That's
I
a.
have no
I don't
idea.
know.
It
Dog
was
breeds.
a name of a dog I'd never heard of. It was a very fluffy dog.
cute.
Kind of looked like a chow type dog, but different colors. It was an interesting dog. I get why she chased it.
Yeah.
But yeah. Well, Chicago was a big time. I mean, we had a really big time in Chicago. I rode one of those lift scooters for the first time. I don't know if I told you about that or not.
Did you?
Yep.
Yeah, I've got pictures. It was hilarious.
I didn't
Lift
know.
scooter.
Yeah, you
mean
know
like
the
a
little,
lime or a bird or something.
yeah, something like that. But you use
Okay.
the Lyft app to rent it.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't know that till I scanned it. They're like, you have to download the app, and I already had the Lyft app. So I was like,
I
oh, that
didn't know
makes
they had.
sense.
Yeah, I did. Okay, gotcha.
I didn't like look up. I was just trusting our good friends out of the Des Moines market that we were nearby. I don't know what the cutoff would have been. It wasn't going to be 20 minutes at midnight driving through downtown Chicago on a scooter, but I'd already rented it. And I'm like, how far are we from the hotel? They're like, it says 20 minutes. There's a lot of vacant streets between here and there at midnight. And I was like, oh no, I do read the news. But come to find out, we had a great time, and I have never looked cooler. We have pictures.
Did you ride a scooter too?
No.
Where
went-
where were you at?
Yeah, tell
That's
them
when
what you
I
did.
went to the club with the group of them. Remember the IT
club.
guys?
Yeah.
I don't remember what it was called. We were probably the oldest people in there by at least 20 years, but it was a lot of fun. There was a group of us. It was me, Adria, Kate, Dave Mancusi, Chris Sindania,
Yeah.
Mackenzie from Indianapolis, and Chrissy from, my mind just went blank, Duluth.
Yeah.
As a group of us went
Wow.
and just danced to late 90s, early 2000s music, some 70s and 80s thrown in there.
What time did you get back?
Probably after 2:30. That was the latest I've stayed out in a long time. I was a little tired the next day, but we had Chris and Danya can dance. Dave Mancusi can sing. I found out a lot about our IT guys. It was a night you all shouldn't have missed.
Man, I should have been
It
there.
was awesome.
So Sindania was just tearing it down. Well,
Well-
how did David sing?
He was just singing along. He told us that
Okay.
he sings, he plays the guitar, and he's a baritone. He knew all about it, so he's very. I
This
didn't get to hear
guy.
him just like he didn't
I
get
mean,
the
leave
opportunity
some
to
for the
sing like
rest of
Aaron
us,
did.
huh?
Mike, okay.
Yeah, he didn't get that opportunity.
It'd be fine.
Too
if
bad.
he was
Too
good
bad he
at
would've
just
killed it.
something. You know, he's good.
He's
at
a man
computers. Like,
genius,
oh,
and
okay, yeah.
he's musically talented as well.
he's-
Apparently,
I think he speaks a couple languages. Like, okay, that's cool. Yeah, you can do that too.
he
and
lived
you,
in Italy till he was 10. I got his whole family history.
I mean,
Build
it's
you a
just-
computer
He
if
has
you need one.
he has 7 kids too. Did you know that?
Hate
7
this guy.
kids.
Yeah.
Hate him so
Beautiful
much.
family.
I'm not gonna lie. I had the best time with him. He was
We had
so
a great
much
time.
fun. I mean, just the greatest guy. We had the best trip to Chicago this time.
Yeah, a
the
lot of
people were. We could have been anywhere. I mean, pick the city, just drop us in there. We don't need much to entertain ourselves. Just hanging out in the hotel lobby. I mean, it was beautiful. It was downtown Marriott, beautiful, very memorable. But put us in the convention center, the Ramada, off of Main Street, and we would have had just as good of a time.
Don't spit it out.
Jeez, that was close to a spit take. Right there.
That would have
don't
been
know
perfect. You should have just let it happen.
Why we have to disparage the Ramada that way?
Okay.
But it was just the best time.
It was a good time.
Directors from all over the
Yeah, yeah.
western half.
I get your point. You could have been anywhere.
Anywhere.
Right. That's
It was
of
an
course we're a
entertaining
great
group.
Yeah, we're a great
Yeah.
group of people there.
Yeah.
But you know what? We were in Chicago, and that did make it even better. It was
Yeah,
such
you
a
know
cool
why?
time.
Because there's lots of stuff to do.
You couldn't have ridden that scooter if you were on Main Street.
The
You
Des
would have
Moines
had
crew
one to
told
rent.
me they don't have those in Des Moines. I said they got them in Indianapolis. I saw people throw them in the fountain down there one time.
Mm-hmm.
But they were a good time. Everyone was such a great time. The meeting, I think, was it's a lot of work. It's a financial investment for you guys to get everyone there and to host those meetings. But man, they're so impactful, and you just hear it over and over. We actually had Jana out of the Carbondale Marion market, a new market for us. She came up, and I did her orientation recently, and I was talking to her about it. She actually came right before she started. She was already down her old job. She's like, I want to come up and meet everyone. And I asked her about it. Yeah, that's probably the first time that we've had a brand, like she was like negative 2 days basically when she came. And I was like, what was your experience? She's like, I messaged some of my old coworkers and it's like, you're going to be so jealous.
Really?
Oh, that's
yeah.
awesome.
And she was just like the coolest people, the nicest people. And I was like, I'm glad you found value in it. She's like, oh my gosh, she's like, I loved it. I can't wait for Orlando. So yeah, it's an awesome time. I enjoy it. That's something that, ride through the rest of the year on is that. So
You always do leave really re-energized.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, I had a great time too. Danielle, you're sort of more serving a co-host role today than being interviewed.
Yeah.
Is that what we're doing? Do you want me to give you some really hard questions to answer?
hit her with those really hard ones that you had.
I mean, I feel like it's going well with just a co-host gig right here, but
Yeah, let's
I
do
guess
that.
you can ask me questions.
Let me ask you this.
Okay.
I don't get a chance to ask you this. How's your all's marriage going?
Oh, well, I'm glad you asked that. We just recently celebrated 16 years of marriage, right?
Yeah.
16
well,
years.
I would have asked you, so
Yep,
I'm going to say yes.
16 years of marriage.
For the record, it's great as far as I know. I was totally joking around.
What if I would have just
Why
started
do I-
crying?
yeah, what do
like,
I
would have
do?
just like, it's
I
awful,
swear to
Jack.
God, I get in this room, and for some reason, I just feel like there's no rules left to life.
Yeah.
I mean, right?
Our marriage could
Everybody's
be-
there because they know it's true. This is like my improv, I guess. This is where I cut my chops.
Charlie comes out.
Yeah.
Right.
This is where you practice. Yep.
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. I'm glad that you asked, honestly. There was a couple things we need to get off our chest.
Oh, stop. You guys. So 16 years.
16 years. And you know what Danielle got me for our anniversary?
No, what?
Got me a super sweet gift. But in the super sweet gift was a box about the size of this guy.
Oh, God.
And in it had a series of questions like you like to ask. Right. And some of them are
Really?
just like get
Yeah.
to know you. Like, hey, if the TV went out tonight, what board game would you play type stuff? And you're like, oh, Scrabble, Boy, do those questions start getting a little bit more challenging. I didn't anticipate this, so I just ripped the box out. Oh, yeah, let's ask each other a couple
Oh,
questions.
you asked more questions than I did.
Yeah, well, I needed some answers.
After 16 years, he didn't know anything.
I said, who are you? No. But literally, I knew she was coming on. That was several weeks ago. It was our anniversary.
Yeah.
And I thought, I ought to grab that box and bring it
No,
up
you
here.
didn't.
No, I didn't.
Oh,
because I
okay.
got to thinking. I was like, there were several questions that, like, she would pull one, I'd pull one or whatever. And we're like, oh, let's
We
just
both
ask
would be
a
like,
different one.
we
Let's
won't
just
do that
you
one.
know. So I
That's
thought,
like-
well, Jeff doesn't have the let's just put it back in the box. Jeff's let's go ahead and roll the dice, see what happens.
That's sort of a eat the whole watermelon situation. Yeah.
It is, yeah.
Well, those questions sometimes are as revealing about yourself as the other person you're playing the game with, right?
Yes.
I could make a case you should go to the store. I'm going to go ahead and make the case. Go to the store. What was the game called? Yeah, they got lots of them. Like,
Yeah.
let's get closer.
Yeah.
yeah,
We-
it's something
we're
like
not-
that.
we're-
Just conversation starters type
Yeah,
questions.
stuff like that. We're
Clothes
not
aren't
strangers.
required. What
Yeah.
did you, what?
You could go to the store just by yourself. It's a great growth exercise. Since I don't have a book to review today, I'll give you this one. And just sit down by yourself. Find a quiet space where you're going to have some uninterrupted time and just pull those questions out and actually see if you can answer them for yourself. And it might be funny to see what is revealed. And whenever you get to really know yourself more intimately that way, which self-intimacy is a real thing, and sometimes I can be kind of, shut down some emotions instead of letting myself go there, it actually becomes really helpful for lots of other things that you might not think about. And you almost can get to the point where, like, nobody can really ever stump you with not only a question, but like a life situation, because you can sit there and honestly think, you know what, I've already thought about all of this. Like, you ever been on an interview and they're like, what's your greatest weakness? And sometimes people don't really have an answer for that. I'm like, have you really never thought about that ever?
And what did you say yours was?
My biggest weakness, probably, well, what I've been working on a lot over the last, year or so is just laying down my ego so that I can allow someone else to have the spotlight, and I'm genuinely trying to help them and support them in that instead of me like needing that attention.
Why don't you
Okay.
point at her during this? Why are you pointing at me?
I'm pointing at the wall. Clearly, I don't mind the attention, for God's sake. I'll go up on stage at
Say,
Second
"Hey,
City,
Charlie."
but I don't have to have it. And there have been times when I was younger that's not necessarily true, or at least I like it. Like, I want everybody to like me and to be the star of the show, sort of a thing. Boy, does it feel better when that gets laid down. And then, gosh, I did it to myself. Also, probably. Oh, I'm blanking here. Yeah, it's just a lot about like self-discovery. What was the question again exactly?
What's your biggest weakness?
Oh, biggest weakness, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
You said probably self-discovery. You're
No,
trying
sorry.
to buy time around.
well, that's where it all is. That's what I'm getting at. Like, I've got so freaking many of them. If I was on a job interview, though, what would I say to that question?
Yeah.
It's that I'm just far too. I'm not that coachable in certain instances. I'm just very stubborn, real independent. I push back on everything, which makes me, ironically, I think, good for this role.
Yeah.
But if I'm in a role where we can't have an argument every single day, Jeff, with you, like this is the process. I've said before, and you vouch for this in meetings, I'm like, when you go out and look for people and recruit talent, don't hire me. I just am too hard to have to get along with. I'll push back on every decision that needs to get made. So I try not to do that, and I have like an exercise where if I'm going to talk too much in a meeting, like I got to have an opinion on everything we're going to talk about. I'll put like 3 coins. Actually, I have 2 right now in my left pocket, right? And so there you go. I'm only allowed to have 2 comments in this meeting. And when you use the first one, you move the coin over to this side. Then you got 1 left. And when I speak up a second time, I'm out. And then you just got to sit there and listen and be a good listener. But it really will let you begin to limit. I don't need to speak up on every single freaking thing. Like, it better be actually valuable, right?
Yeah.
But that's a weakness.
I keep a roll of quarters in my pocket for that reason.
It's funny.
I have a lot to say.
So what's your biggest weakness, Aaron?
Oh, our marriage.
God,
Come on.
I went right into that.
Come
Just walked
on.
in.
This is just
open
for
the
fun.
door.
This is
He
all
means that he's weak in it,
Oh,
and you
horribly
get to
weak. Yeah.
smack him around.
physical abuse.
That's how we made it.
No. Yeah, so those questions were fun. Do you ever wonder, though, like, would it be harder to answer if you had to choose? Sarah pulls a random card out of this, and some of those questions can be challenging.
Yeah.
Very self-revealing. You have to answer that completely honest. You have no filter. Whatever the question is, you got to answer it. Would you rather it be asked by Sarah privately or by a complete stranger privately?
Oh, a complete stranger. Well, what if I had to say something that was hurtful to somebody?
Right.
That's
They
why
were
we
those
shouldn't
kind
be
of
able to read
questions.
each other's minds. I'm sure she sometimes thinks like, God, I wish this stinky breath would get away from me or something. I don't know.
Wow.
Like, we don't need to know everything that's being
Okay.
thought. But telling a stranger, well, that's pretty much how I live my life anyway. I get a lot off my chest with strangers.
It's true. Boy, I really connected. My friend Josh, he's from Portland, Oregon. We were at the Wrigley game the other day, and the seat
No
beside
idea
me
who
was
he's
empty, okay? And you guys were to my left, Danielle was to my immediate left. The seat beside me was empty. I was on the end.
Did financial advisor work?
Well,
Estate planning.
So he sits down, a very cool guy, sits down by himself, and he said, "Excuse me, sir, can I ask you a very strange question?" I was like, "Well, we're here now." I was like, "Sure." He's like, "Do I have mustard anywhere visible on me?" And I'm like, "Why are you pointing at your head? Like, what did you do to this is even a question?" So I look him up and down in the seat. I'm like, no. Get down to his lap. He is covered in mustard. And I said, "Well, I mean, just right there." He's like, "I was walking through. We were on the lower level." He's like, "I was walking through and mustard just rained down on me." I was like, what is going on up there, right? And so then I start getting paranoid. I'm like, have I been hit too? He says it was the other section over. He's just walking through and got covered. It like just rained down mustard on him. So that starts a conversation, which I'm not 100% sure he was being honest. Who knows what happened? But we
Be a
start
weird
talking.
thing to make
I know. And he was clearly covered in mustard. He didn't seem like the type of guy that would do that to himself.
just square himself and go. Conversation.
Think about that. What if this psychopath was up there at the mustard stage?
Oh, Stop.
This will be a conversation starter.
So I
This
knew
is how the
I knew that he did
conversation-
estate planning because I sat next to him also later on, and
That's-
he was a really nice.
That's
guy.
why I'm bringing this up.
Okay.
He grew up in Austin. He moved to Portland. He's married, has 2 children, 9th and 7th grade. Son's on the water polo team.
Super guy. I
Wonderful
enjoyed
guy.
talking to him.
Still goes back to Austin, son. 3rd generation.
Yeah.
University of Texas graduate. So he never even applied anywhere else. Just wanted to go there. Lives in Portland now. Loves Portland. Blah blah blah. Was at Wrigley first time ever. Travels around. Has a firm location.
People are going to
in
be able to
Nashville.
identify this man soon.
That's
You better-
what I'm trying to do. You found out what he did for a living.
You want to find out who this man is?
Yeah, I'd like to connect with Josh. He was a
Oh,
great
'cause
guy.
you liked him a lot.
We had to leave to go catch our flight, so we left at whatever the 5th inning, and then you guys stayed. And I was curious because you do spend most of your time talking to strangers. Did
Did you
get
get his last name at least?
Do we know anything else beyond what I just said?
Yeah, you really should have asked me sooner. It's been a while back now.
Yeah.
I think I might know his last name if I saw it. I bet you could get on LinkedIn and search around enough to where you or something. You could probably get there.
Okay. I never
Especially if
did.
you knew what his job was, you could easily Google that. Just-
Well, I never did get. He said he worked for a firm, so I didn't know what time. Mattress firm, law firm.
what if he talked at this big game and he worked at mattress?
That's okay. They're legitimate.
I know
I'm
it
not,
is, but that
I'm
would
not
just be
ruling them
funny.
out as
We
a
were
corporate
thinking
sponsor.
like financial, a lawyer.
Yeah.
How can there be such a need for so many mattress stores in the
have
same
no
tiny
idea.
area?
Especially the way they're always having blowout sales. I mean, they can't be making any money. They're always trying to get rid of those mattresses.
Yeah. Yeah.
There can't be any profit left in those things.
I guess it takes nothing to run a store, basically. You just have a rent, like one employee is all you ever see in the whole place.
Yeah. And
So
inventory.
your overhead is like nothing.
Yeah.
You sell one and you're done for the month.
We've made our
It's
money.
got to be something like that.
You know, me and
Mattresses
you
are
went.
pretty expensive.
I don't know if
They
I ever
would
told you this. Me and Jeff went mattress shopping one time together.
Oh, you did tell me.
Yeah, we did. And I bought one.
You did. Yeah. That
Did
guy
you
was.
keep that one?
Still what I'm sleeping on right now.
That guy so desperately wanted to get your contact information. You said, buddy, I just got to go home and measure this thing. If it fits in my box, I'm getting it. He's like,
Was
well,
that
just
the
let
one
me.
that Sarah showed up for too?
Yeah, Sarah
I got
was
a
there.
text that said, I am mattress shopping with the Stevens.
Yeah.
So that's something you don't hear every
Jeff
day.
said, "You care if I flop down on this thing real quick?" And the guy said, "No, not at all." And he Olympic long jumped into the air with no warning, and then back flat bounced on this mattress and said, "Yep, I like it. I think this will work."
I did.
Yeah,
Well, that's what they're there for.
I think so. Maybe.
How many people do you think jump on a mattress though?
Very
Just
few people.
airplane,
Well,
Superman it.
look, you know what I'm saying. It was pretty low to the ground. I wanted to like land right on my back so my shoes didn't like drag up the side of it and stuff. That was done out of courtesy.
That's how I perceive that as well. No, but I think.
Well, I went back and bought it. That guy
did?
didn't think I was.
No, yeah,
that happens to me all the time.
Yeah.
The other day we were going to buy a painting, and I was just starving to death. I was like, I will be back for it. They must hear this all day long, and nobody ever comes back.
That's
I'm-
us. We always tell them, yeah,
We
we'll
all,
probably
like,
want to get it. And then
Aaron
we
tells
ghost
me-
them.
Oh,
Yeah.
Aaron
so-
ends up leaving me, and I'm like, we'll be back, and then we never come back. Aaron just gives up and leaves me on my own.
I nearly
So-
left her in Savannah, Georgia one time.
He did.
In an
I got
art and
stuck.
antique shop. She wouldn't quit talking to the person. I was like, I'm leaving. You're on your own. Don't come back with that $4,000 picture.
Yeah, I didn't. We wouldn't have celebrated our 16th anniversary.
Continue on.
that's an expensive picture.
It
That
was.
is expensive.
Yeah, that's going to make us a deal. They let our kid pick one out. Go figure.
You must be blinded by the lights.
Check it out.
So then, out of nowhere, this drag. Oh, I'm just kidding. That didn't happen.
Is it fishbowl time?
It could be. Let me check and see. See what's in here. Daniel, let me ask you a question.
Oh, no.
Now these are getting really old.
I thought that these were over.
Oh, no. What would you do, Danielle, if you were at work and you run into, just picture someone, you don't have to name them out loud, and you looked at me and you said, hey, what are you doing today? And they said, charging my phone.
What would I do?
What would you do if you just picture it? So what are you doing today? And he said, I'm charging my phone.
Why do you always have to couch it in this crazy setting?
You're at work and you ask someone what they're doing?
Read it exactly as it's written.
Wouldn't it be funny if you asked someone, I swear I skipped that part unintentionally. Wouldn't it be funny if you asked someone what they were going to do today and they said, charge my phone?
That's a little bit more where my head was at. I was just thinking if you ask somebody like, so what are your plans for today? They're
Charge
like,
my phone.
I'm going to charge my phone.
Yeah.
today.
My first question would be like, is that it? Are you going to charge your phone to do something, or
That's
you just
and they
plan
said,
on sitting there and I'm just going to charge my phone?
I'm going to get that done today.
I legitimately asked someone in the last 6 months in a professional environment, like, hey, what do you have going on? And they said, cleaning my car out.
What?
That's kind of what I mean. Maybe somebody gave me something like that, and that's what I was like, let's take this all the way to the most ridiculous extreme. But sometimes something like that, I will just think about, like, if I met somebody, I'm like, hey, so what do you got? What are you going on today? What are you doing? I think I'm going to charge my phone today. Like, and I will start laughing out loud to myself, just hysterically.
Yeah.
Come on in.
Who's?
Do we have a guest coming? Oh, it's Will Ray, ladies and gentlemen.
All right, well,
Go ahead.
all right.
Walk on through here. We need a bigger studio audience.
Will Ray. Who knew that Will Ray was going to be here?
Will,
today?
Will, let
Smells
me
like
ask you.
Evansville.
Yeah. Oh gosh, we're going to talk about Evansville with Will next week,
Okay.
and we are going to talk about it. But let me ask you this first, Will. What if you were talking to somebody and you were like, "Hey, so what do you got going on today? What are you going to do? Got any plans?" And they were like, "Yeah, I'm going to charge my phone."
Man, I'd say, what are you going to do after 8 a.m.? I don't know.
What are you going to do?
Same answer.
Yeah, that's
I
fair.
love it. That's a good answer.
I would just bust out laughing. Did you say, by the way, whenever I was saying like, I think I'm going to charge my phone, how I did that? I was acting in that part
Oh,
right there.
you
I
got
felt like
the
you were-
chops.
Right.
The chop.
He
What
has
was
the fever.
there was a lot of Daniel Day-Lewis comparisons around all of that, which I thought was really. I don't know that you're ready for like the big screen, but you're Netflix ready for sure, man. I mean, with like you came factory equipped with that. Now, could you do more and get on the silver screen? I think maybe if you dedicated time and energy. But right now, you could for sure get a Netflix going.
Thanks.
So, yeah, you're welcome.
You remember what did Austin say to me? He said, I said something like, yeah, I got the acting bug. And I said, you might see me opposite Gosling soon.
Wow.
And he goes, yeah, given your age, I think it's more like Brad Pitt these days.
Oh,
That hurts a little bit.
That's my cousin for you.
wow.
Why does he work for us again? He's going to say negative stuff like that. Get rid of that, man.
Yeah, I'd watch it.
Be careful, Austin.
You know, it's funny. I actually looked that up. Then I just got a curiosity. Do you know Brad Pitt's 60 years old?
60 years old. My
I
God.
feel like
Gosling is actually older than me. He's 43 and turning 44 in a few months.
Doesn't look it.
No,
Brad
he
Pitt doesn't
looks
look
much better
60.
than me.
Handsome guy. What are you going to do about it?
In terms of looks,
Yeah.
that's correct. It's just that those people are so beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm comparable maybe to. No, I'm not.
No,
I was starting to. No,
Continue on. No.
Yeah, who are you?
Where are you there?
I
Continue
was
on.
thinking
Gotta finish it.
Andy Griffith, who died about 10 years ago. That's kind of comparable to him.
Sweet Andy Griffith.
Those are good shoes to fill.
I'm trying every day.
Yeah. Well, Daniel, before you left, I did have one more question for you. And this was one that I've thought, man. You remember that time that we were on vacation?
Read it.
Okay.
Why does he do this every time?
It's like you as Charlie. He gets into it. He's got to have a
That's true.
story. with
Go
it.
ahead.
Let him do this. Don't take
I've
that
got to
from
let.
him.
You're right. You're right. I see what I did right
I
there.
know you just overstepped.
What exactly?
And took it from him. That was what you're
weakness
working on. That's your
on job
weakness.
interview.
What
I
if-
couldn't shut up long enough to just let him read it.
Let
What
him
if
be-
while you were on the stage, I'd said, just spit it out?
Stop
it
getting
would
so
have
into it.
been hurtful. I'm sorry.
You're welcome. In front of all of my fans, your mom specifically. You just did me that way.
And Brenda, she'll be watching too.
I am not. You're, Daniel, think if
don't
you were
know
on
what that laugh was
vacation
for.
and you went to the library to read comic books.
Okay, what about it?
Well,
if I went on vacation and went to the library to read comic books.
Yeah, you stopped by. Remember, we were in Cleveland not long ago, and our hotel was across from the library. And I mentioned how beautiful the library building was downtown. And you said, yeah, I saw that. It's beautiful. What if after that you would have just marched
Booked
across
in
the
there.
street, went to the C's? I'm assuming that's where they keep them at. You got into the Dewey
not how that
Decimal
works.
System
Yeah,
and
okay.
said, comics, C's, that's upstairs. You went upstairs, you just pulled you out a comic, and that's how we spent the day in Cleveland. What would you think about that?
I don't even know how to answer this. What would I think about it? I would think that there was probably a lot more we could have done. Was that really the question? I just pull out a comic book. Okay. Jeff, what were you thinking when you wrote this question or this statement? I guess.
Now
is not
this
really
one
a
I
question.
remember actually. I was.
We could be
this
doing
is
a lot
what-
more in Cleveland.
See, we've talked about this a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Things like that are the funniest things in the world to me. There's things that are designed to be funny, comedy movie, whatever. But if I were like to travel with somebody and they took this big week-long vacation and then they got there and they just wanted to go to the library and get some comic books and read them, sit down and read them, and they were just engrossed, sitting there like, really going wild with it. It would be hilarious. It would, and also, I was walking, I think I was in Spain, and I see this library up ahead. I was like, what if I just went in there, and just started reading?
Yeah.
It would be so ridiculous. Why would you come all this way to do that,
To go to
right?
the library and read.
But
Yeah.
then I started being like, well, you're being judgmental. What if they love comic books?
Yeah.
And they just had to get their fix.
They've got a few hours to kill. They're walking around. You're like, I'm going to go in there. And it made them really happy. They're like, I'm just going to read comics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's their vacation.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't that be something?
It would be something they enjoy. But if you were with that person, would you leave them or just hang out at the library while they read? And read
I'd
with them?
definitely leave them.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. I wouldn't. If Aaron decided I want to go in the library and read a comic book or just a regular book, do they have comic books in libraries? First question. Is that a thing? Anyways,
Probably in some, maybe? I don't know. So this is
I don't
even,
think it'd be under siege.
it's kind of my
but-
point. No, that's like Chaucer and Canterbury. You got to go to a whole different section. But I bet they're in there somewhere.
Maybe. But no, if I was one reading, I wouldn't expect Aaron and the kids to follow me in there and just sit and watch me read a comic book while we're in Cleveland. Since that was
You know
it.
what kind of person does that on vacation? They would take a vacation, fly
An
across
introvert.
the country, go to a library, and read a comic book on
Who?
a moron.
Oh my God. I don't know. That's true.
He said, "Oh, moron."
That was my thought too.
We were recently in the airport, and we were in these seats, and we picked these seats. We got there early. Danielle's an early arriver, and we were in
This
these.
was in Chicago, probably that we're early,
Yeah.
and you normally have to wait in the line for an hour.
We were.
If you ever want to get out of Chicago at a normal time and not have to wait 2 hours, side note, show up at like 4 o'clock on a Saturday.
We were
It's
about
empty.
3.5 minutes through security.
Yeah, it was
So we
amazing.
killed the 2 hours after that. And so we found these seats that have chargers in them. So we're on our devices, charging our devices for the flight. And a lady sits down across from us, okay? And I had noticed that her bench was unplugged. No charging capability. It was unplugged from the floor. I'm guessing for a reason. And I see her. She watches her device. I'm not creeping on her. We were there for a while. And she's over there. She's really hunkered in. She's got all of her stuff around her. She's got her device out. And then I see her reach for her charger. And I was like, oh no, it's not going to work. I've already scoped this out. So I watch her. She tries one plug. It doesn't work. Now, still none of my business. There's no reason for me to get involved here. Tries another one. Doesn't work. And I'm like, honey, you can try them all. That thing's unplugged from the floor. It's
Time
not going to
out.
work.
Would you tell the person or just watch them struggle? Both of you answer this question. Would you say, "Hey, that's
Well, I've
not
already
gonna-"
answered the question. I
You
clearly
could
watched
have
this woman
eventually
struggle.
told them. You could have said that
Yeah.
after the third time. You're like, "Miss,
Now,
you're-"
here's the problem. We're in a 3-person seating arrangement, okay? Me and her have the middle seat open because we were storing some stuff there. It's clear that this woman's going to have to charge. All of her stuff's already piled in here. Where's she going? To the middle seat between us. Well, I didn't want that to be the case either. So I'm like, she's going to have to relocate to a new charging station, right? That's my thought because she's all the way over there. Watch her try. She
This
finally
distance.
looks under the seat and realizes I've got a major issue. My seat's unplugged. She asked Danielle, can I plug my charger in over there? I'm like, oh boy, Here we go. Here she comes.
By the way, I had no idea this was happening. I was into my own device. I had
This
no idea
woman
what was
pulls out a charger that must have a 30-foot cable on it. I did not think that was in the cards. She unrolls this charger, never had to leave it, plugged it right in, ran the cord across the floor.
Across the aisle?
Yeah. Stayed right there and just kept charging.
Wow. I'm surprised the flight attendant didn't ask her to.
It was a regional
Oh,
flight
no,
into
this
Lexington.
was in the airport waiting area. This wasn't on the plane.
Oh, yeah,
okay.
no, we were.
Wow. That makes it even different. Okay. I got to reprocess this story now.
You thought we were on the plane this
Why
morning.
would you wait so long to tell her? Like, why wouldn't you help her? You're
Yeah,
a
why
good,
would-
you're a nice person.
That's-
Once I'm in the airport, you're kind of on your own at this point. You're going to figure this out.
Good Lord. It's not
Yeah.
Donner Pass. I mean, I would have immediately just been like, hey,
it's
that
not
thing's
gonna plug in.
unplugged.
Not
Not
Aaron.
me.
Aaron's going to watch you struggle
I
until you ask and figure it out.
I watched the whole human experience play out here. She did solve it, though. And I'm going to guess, based off the length of that cord, that's not her first time she'd found herself in a situation like that. No one just picks up the 40-foot extension cord
It wasn't
charger.
that long. That's like you saying there were 20
40
people.
foot.
It went from 30. It
She's
was
running
probably
Christmas lights.
10 foot, like a normal long cord.
I don't remember exactly how long it was. It had
She
to be.
was like this distance.
It had to be 100 foot. Now that I think about it, no less than 100 foot.
Okay.
Yeah, it had its own retractor in it.
That's really something.
Well,
It's a retractor.
somehow we've gotten to the end of this, and I feel like we just got started.
We've done it again.
We
done
have
it again, guys.
done it again.
So we make it to the end every time.
It's really unbelievable. It still is living in my head that what we're doing on this show is impacting your mother's Fridays. And I just feel like we need to give her so much more than what we're currently giving her.
This is pretty good entertainment for what my mom likes is like humor like yours. She's a fan.
Yeah.
You don't go away from it.
I
you
hope-
ever seen a band put out a big hit debut album and then they get too cute with it?
Yeah.
Just give the fans what they want.
Just don't fancy it up, is what they say in the biz. Well,
We'll let him down.
I'll tell you, this has been a lot of fun. And once again, I think our marriage survives another round of the podcast, which is always exciting.
You all have a beautiful marriage, beautiful kids, beautiful dogs.
Kids, I
Thank
forgot
you.
about that. Who has the... Well, it's no big deal. We'll figure it out. Well,
They're old enough.
you don't have anything to cheers with, so you can use...
Hi to Bill and Brenda too.
Yeah. Hi.
Hey, I heard you got my postcard from Bruno's.
Oh, did they? Awesome.
He did.
All right, cheers.
All right. Cheers. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was a long show, guys.